I got a little bit of hope.
Well, welcome to the Greg and Leisa show.
I'm Greg.
And I'm Leisa. And as you can see by my shirt, we are going to the University of Hope this week.
Sounds good.
Yeah, a while back we did a ladies' retreat. And
well, I didn't.
Well, no, you did.
You said we. I was not involved in the ladies'
That's
retreat
true,
whatsoever.
But our ladies' retreat at the church was called the University of Hope. And our primary focus verse was on Psalms 39, verse 7.
It's your week for that.
Week, yeah.
It's your week to do one of those.
Yep. So my hope is in you, Lord. And what this verse means is that, remembering that God is much greater than any of our struggles or challenges that we might be going through in our difficult circumstances. So, David makes that connection by pointing to God as his only and ultimate hope and all the things that he went through. So the best thing in life are not things, but they're not objects or money, but it's the occasions in which we get to personally glorify the Lord.
Sure.
And he's always going to be there with us.
Mm-hmm.
My life verse to live by, which I have said multiple times on the show, is I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. And this verse has gotten me through, with the Lord's help, through thick and thin, through sad and happy times, from laughter to tears to just everything that the challenges in my life have brought me over the years. And you may not think that this is a very hopeful verse or has much to do with hope, but really it is, because it's about the strength of God to get you through.
Sure.
And to maintain the hope in him that, he has that plan for us, for a future and a hope. And so we always want to be there. And remember that there is always a hope. So Greg, do you have a verse to live by?
Yeah, speaking of verses not pertaining to hope that I'm going to cite in a hope discussion, it's, James 1:22, do not merely read the word and so deceive yourselves, do what it says. And the reason I say this is because if I'm sitting around and something's not going quite right, I just remember that I'm probably not doing what it's, that's the,
yeah.
It's a reminder to really look for what God wants you to do and not what you want you to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So, that's how I look at it. But some people are watching probably like, what are these people, these verses they're picking out? Or
yeah. Well, you know what? That's part.
It's different for everybody.
It is.
Right?
And that's cool. What's cool about the Bible is that it speaks to everybody in a different way, because everybody is at different stages, different walks, different journeys.
Thinks differently.
And that's why it's called the living word, and the Bible's been around such a long time. So really, what is hope, Greg?
Well, the Oxford Dictionary, I'm a fan of Webster myself, but you picked out Oxford.
Webster's coming.
Yeah. The Oxford Dictionary defines hope as a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen.
Right. And Wikipedia says hope is an optimistic state of mind that is
Oh, am I supposed to go then?
No.
Because you said that is
based on an expectation of positive outcomes. That's what hope is. Hope is, you want something to happen. You're hoping for something positive,
sure.
For, future outlook and anticipation. So, what does Webster say?
Well, I was going to say we came right to it. I jumped the gun on my lack of hope there to see Mr. Webster.
That's all right.
Webster's dictionary defines hope, says hope implies little certainty, but suggests confidence or assurance in the possibility that what one desires or longs for will happen.
Yeah.
Back to Oxford again, though, here on the next part, I see.
Yes, Oxford synonyms for the word hope. So the various noun words are aspiration,
desire,
wish,
expectation,
ambition,
aim,
plan,
dream,
daydream,
pipe dream,
longing,
yearning,
craving,
hankering.
And the verb synonyms for hope are expect,
anticipate,
look for,
wait for,
be hopeful,
pin one's hopes on,
want,
wish for,
dream of,
hope against,
and hope for.
Now, if you're an English teacher and you're watching this, I always learn that you're not supposed to define a word with the word. So,
Yeah, that's true. You're not supposed
no,
to.
and you know what though? We didn't just read a definition though.
No, we were reading
We did synonyms, but this
Yeah.
isn't the grammar episode.
That's true. Remember last week when you said about going off the wall on grammar?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people do that.
Yeah, that's what I. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
That's all right. I did not go to somebody's message board and troll them. You know, I didn't do all that.
That's
So
true.
anyway, now that we know what hope is, or at least the strict definition of hope in the dictionary, question is, how do you have it, or how do you get hope?
Well, that's a good question. So we know in order, to have hope, we have hope for good things a lot of times because that seems natural. But,
Right.
sometimes when things and challenges in our lives aren't going so well, we seem to lose our hope or we get down in the mouth. So how can you really put hope into play?
So there's an old saying, when you get to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. And that was from Theodore Roosevelt.
I know.
And he seems like the type of guy that would say something. I honestly didn't know about that quote before now, and for what I know about Teddy, he would say something like that.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that he said that because actually I put this in here because I have heard it. But then when I was doing research, it showed he is the one that, initially said it. So the question is, how do you hang on? What do you do? Where do you go?
Well, first off, hope is a choice. So we can choose to look toward the positive and understand there's a future for us. We just need to realize that we have the ability to move forward to the future and work for it. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
Yeah. The second thing to do is set a goal for yourself. Set something that you like to do, that you want to do, or that will help relax you or maybe help someone else. Not something on your to-do list. We want you to actually set a goal.
Right.
Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he." But in setting that goal, look at something that might help somebody else, because I have always found that if you help somebody else, you in turn become more blessed because you have helped them.
Yep.
And so look at something, even if you have a hobby, you like to knit or you like to crochet, make something that maybe you can take to Children's Hospital and share with kids or those in need, or a retirement home or a nursing home.
And most of the places you just mentioned will never say no to.
That's right.
A nice donation.
Yeah, they won't.
Yep.
So
the third thing we have here is talk to someone. So talk to that person who is positive and that you can trust. You can brainstorm, talk about ideas, plan some time to get together, share your feelings and your thoughts. And got a couple verses from Proverbs here to talk about that. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 24. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. And then from Proverbs chapter 12, verse 25. Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up.
Right. So, when you're talking to somebody because you are struggling and maybe your hope meter is on empty, look for that person that that is uplifting and positive, that will be able to listen and to get you through, because there may be a time when they will need to call you.
Yeah. And many times there is something you need to talk through, and a lot of times also there doesn't have to be an agenda for that conversation.
No.
Sometimes just being around somebody and having any kind of conversation.
Right. And you want to be around positive people.
Yes.
Because if you're around Debbie Downers, you're going to become a Debbie Downer, and you want to really be uplifted and get yourself back in tune to where you're looking at hope and looking toward the future. Number 4 is seek God. This is the first place I always go.
Well, then why is it number 4?
Well,
if it's the first place you would go.
Because everybody doesn't do what I do.
That's it's it's not a priority order, everybody.
Yeah, it's not a priority
and
order.
I'm here to say things like that every now and again.
But that is me. I go to God first, and I always strongly encourage you to go to God first. But God has already been there, always been there for me. He's never failed me. He's never forsaken
Yep.
me. He's available 24/7. He never sleeps or slumbers. And he loves me no matter what. And
That's an important part.
it is an important part. And I know I can lean on him and trust him. And I know he always has my best interest at heart. And so he is my first place to go. 2 Corinthians 4:18 says, "So fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal." And that's God. He's eternal. Romans 12:12 says, "Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer." And to me, right there, it's telling you no matter what you're going through, we're supposed to have joy according to the Bible.
I almost feel like we could have just read that verse.
Yeah.
Ended the episode and
we could have.
Because that's about the shortest summary. Yeah.
It is. I mean,
it's really, really
we are supposed to be joyful in hope, knowing he has everything under control. We're supposed to be patient in affliction no matter what we're going through. And then we're supposed to be faithful in prayer and seeking him and talking to the Lord. So what does Romans 15:4 say, Greg?
So Romans 15:4, "For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through endurance taught in the scriptures and the encouragement they provide, we might have hope." Mm-hmm. And I'll do the next one too. So Romans chapter 15 again, verse 13 this time. "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." So calling him the God of hope right there.
That's right.
God of love, God of justice.
Right.
Wears a lot of hats.
He does, and he tells us that he wants our cup to overflow. Yeah. And so he wants us to, have that trust and hope in him and be joyous.
If he's going to call himself the God of hope in his own scriptures, hope must be a pretty big part of him.
Yep, it is. Psalm 62 verses 5 and 6 say, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, and I will not be shaken." And I like that because I will not be shaken as long as you're with God.
Yeah.
He's always going to see us through.
Yep. So our fifth thing here, just ways we can kind of get hope, is make a list of things you are grateful for. So look for the things in your life that you are grateful for, things that make you smile, things that make you happy, things you like to share with others, the blessings you have received from God. And this particular exercise, it's in a lot of therapy, it's in all kinds of contexts, spiritual and not spiritual. And if you're a guy like me, when you first heard this concept, you thought that was really lame and you thought, why do I have to do it? But writing that stuff down does help. It's in your head, it's in your heart. We all know that, but just to see it and be able to go back to it and read over it.
And see it in black and white. And as you start writing down the list of things that you're grateful for and thankful for, you're going to see how big the list really is.
Well, yeah, and it's like if you're feeling down and you need some hope, the same way you would make a court case, it's a sheet of evidence, is what it is.
It is. And it's also, if you've had that relationship with Jesus Christ and you go back and look at what he has done for you over your life and the blessings that he has bestowed upon you, you can see in black and white your track history with God and how many times he has come through. And it's those things that, he has helped us through that helps us to be able to share it with other people too.
And, easier than ever to do. I still have some regular old spiral notebooks over there. That's kind of my favorite way to write this type of stuff down. If you're somebody who's comfortable with your phone and want to go into your little notes app and just tack them on in there, that's great. There's a lot of ways to do it. It's a very accessible method to everybody.
It is.
So on that kind of note there, Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." I walked with our 5-year-old while he was on his scooter, and I was weary. But that's not really what we're talking about.
No, and I'm sure he was a little bit ahead of you
that
on
kid
that
can
scooter.
Fly. That kid can fly. But it's even in that, you could apply it to that as well. But we're really talking about kind of tough times, and if you hope in the Lord, your strength will come back, and you'll not only recover but
Right.
thrive.
That's right. On Deuteronomy 31:6 says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." And that's true. He won't. He longs for you to have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants more than anything. And that's why, he is tarrying on this earth, is to give everybody that opportunity to seek him, so that, when he comes back, you're not going to be cast into the lake of fire. You have that opportunity now.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've talked many times about how we're not promised tomorrow. And, the time is now. And we all need to be ready.
Right.
And, it's important to always be ready.
Yes.
So we have 4 quotes on hope. It says, "You may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all the world's problems at once, but don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious, and hope can take on a life of its own." And that's by Michelle Obama. And so, hope is contagious, positivity is contagious, laughter is contagious, happiness is contagious. And those are the people that you want to gravitate to.
And I like the part about don't ever underestimate the importance you can have, because especially in an age of social media, you are looking around, looking at all these spectacular things people are doing, but oftentimes it's the small things you can do or say that make a difference in actual people in their lives.
Right.
Or they can make a difference in yours. So you don't always have to be looking for some big spectacular thing.
Right.
Oftentimes those things can happen, but typically on a day-to-day, not as much.
It's like us on the Greg and Leisa show.
You waiting for the spectacular amount of viewers to happen?
No, we're just hoping to help people.
Yes.
And to teach them and to hopefully, learn something.
Yes.
As we learn as well as we go through this process, and share our life's journey with everyone. And to me, that's what it's about.
And
it's about helping people.
And you certainly learn a lot by, doing this stuff and going through the show here. So our next quote, "Hope is the companion of power and mother of success. For whoso hopes strongly has within him the gift of miracles." That was from Samuel Smiles, the right name to be talking about hope, I would say.
Our next one is, "Hope lies in dreams, in imagination, and in the courage of those who dare to make dreams into reality." And that's Jonas Salk.
And our last quote here, "Hope is a waking dream," and that is Aristotle. So
but hope is, it doesn't have to be just a feeling, and hope is something that you can put into action.
Right.
And in setting your goals, putting an action plan together and setting the goal to make your goal come into reality.
That's an important thing to remember is when we were talking about hope in the dictionary definition, there were noun synonyms, but there were a lot of verbs too. So it in itself is an action.
It is.
It's a thing you can have, but it is also a thing you can do.
Right, exactly. And that's why it's important to have hope. And that's why, God instills us that we are to have hope in him, because he's always going to be there. But, our family and friends, and we realize that not everybody has a perfect family, because no family is perfect. No relationships are perfect.
And this can be incredibly difficult.
Right.
It's easy to talk about it for us and read the dictionary and say this stuff.
And you can think, it may work for you, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for me. But it goes back to your attitude, and it also goes back to your willingness, to make changes and to seek, positive hope and benefits of hope.
Because as far as the action and the going out there and doing it part, what works in my life, what works in your life is not going to work in everybody else's life necessarily.
And we're all entitled to our pity parties or our times of crying
stuff
and stuff.
Happens.
It does, but you set a time limit.
You don't
put your timer on. You can cry for 10 minutes, and after that you move on.
You try not to dwell in it.
So because that's your choice, that goes back to where our first number one was hope is a choice. It's just like happiness is a choice. Things that we do we are making choices.
Right.
But there are benefits of hope, and one of the benefits is it gives us a reason to get out of bed every day.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's may be the most critical one that we have in this list for people, because there's a lot of depression. There's a lot of scary, sad stuff going on out there. So
There is, and we always encourage you to seek help and to talk to
Yep.
people, but the benefits of hope is it improves your mental well-being. And in improving your mental well-being, it gives you a more positive, hopeful attitude
Yeah.
and outlook on life, on what
Yeah.
tomorrow is going to
And
bring, or what the future is going to bring.
And your mental well-being is so important, and our next one is benefits your physical body, and as I think it kind of even stems from the mental well-being.
Mhm.
You have a lot of hope. You have a generally more positive attitude. I'm not this kind of scientist, but
Yeah.
you're different
just like when you
levels
go
of different
walk.
things. Your stress, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Right. And when you go for a walk physically, you're causing endorphins and everything in your system, the
Mhm.
way we are wired to totally give you a different, psyche, what you're looking at. But it benefits you, we talk mentally and physically. But it also helps with the immune system because it does, reduce the stress level. And that's a big health benefit in itself.
Right. And all that, you can also increase your self-worth, your self-belief, your confidence.
Right.
And that's what we're doing, because you read that and it's like, obviously that's what hope does, but the key here is it is a thing you can choose to do.
Right, you have a choice.
Yep.
You have a choice to do it, you have a choice not to do it. But it also encourages you to take positive action. If you don't want to walk by yourself, walk with somebody. You see a lot of people walking with the earbuds on and they're listening and they're walking. I have a little problem with that for safety reasons, because if you are so engrossed in what you're listening to, you're not fully aware of your surroundings for safety.
No, there's
So look at something else, but maybe go on a walk with somebody that you can talk to.
Sure.
And share that walk and that talk.
And if those of you out there, some of you are thinking, well, I walk for exercise, and the pace is important. One, it's not the most important thing, but from what I've seen, just getting out there and doing it is, probably 85% of whatever calories you're going to burn. Just the amount of time, the amount of steps, the distance. The pace, as far as walking goes, is not, it's almost kind of secondary to the amount of time you're out there doing it.
Well, and this is about, when you're out there, is looking at what God created, the beauty of the earth. Just, we talked, last couple of weeks about slowing down, and, this is a part of the slowing down. We're either going to be spectators or we're going to be participators, and, we are either going to be a spectator of our hope and our future, or we're going to be, a participator of our hope and our future.
And the physical well-being part of that will happen. I have a special place in my heart for the mental well-being part, because as we've seen with the way our society is, mental issues can kill, as quick or as severely as physical issues can. So
one of the things research I saw today was about the number of days you can go without water and without food, and basically it came down to you can only really go 1 minute without hope. And I just thought, and I did some research on the failure to thrive, because that's part of, when you lose your hope and you lose your will to live. And a lot of times you see that more so in, infants and senior adults.
That's the context I was thinking of. It is the infants.
But it's also senior adults. And, we never want to get to that point of despair. Or to be able to hit that failure of thrive. And that's why hope is so important, because there is always a hope in a future. And it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, because it's not. But
no,
there's always
sense.
Tomorrow. And the verses in the Bible that say their joy comes in the morning. Tomorrow, sleep on it. How many times I was told, sleep on it. Think about it, sleep on it. When you wake up, you'll have a whole new perspective. And sometimes, I find myself, I just start praying. If I am, having trouble sleeping, or, things are weighing on my mind, and I just start praying and I just start talking to God. And I can't tell you enough how easy that is. And when you live by yourself and you don't have anybody else in your household to talk to or to, interact with, and your source of communication is either texting or the telephone or email, but most of the time it's business. So you don't have that person to always share things with. And I share everything with God. And I feel like sometimes people don't like to talk to me because I feel like I tell them what's going on in my life and they think I'm bragging, and it's like, I'm not bragging.
No,
I am sharing what's happening in my life. Who else am I going to share it to?
No, that's an important thing to remember.
And you have to think about that, but it's not. And I also, want people to know is that no matter what I do, God gets the glory. He is my creative mind. He is the one that inspires me. He is the one that directs me. And, it's not about me. It's about what he does through me and with me. And I always pray to use me as a vessel to help somebody. But, there's hope through faith.
Absolutely.
Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. While we have not yet reached the things we hope for, we do know that the Bible says our hope is not built on something earthly or temporal, but it's on the eternal living God." And that to me says it all. We're only on this earth a short time. We talked last week about, we all have an expiration date. And, we all are, going to leave this earth. So we can't take anything we have with us, and no matter how much you try to fill in the coffin or what you're going to be silly or try to do. You can't take any of the material things with us. And what we leave behind, and we talked about last week too, is what's our legacy going to be? What are we actually leaving behind? But there is a song, and I'm going to let you read the words to it, Greg, and it's called "I Don't Know About Tomorrow."
Okay. Yep. And it's an old hymn, right? So we don't really have an artist or who originally wrote or performed it, because it's been around.
It's been around a long time,
many
and
years.
I did look it up who wrote it. He has a really funny name.
Okay.
Yeah, but the gist of this hymn was he was on his way in a car and he was thinking about the critics and he was going to speak, and he was about to the point where he was ready to quit. He thought maybe he should just stop. Yeah. And he wrote this hymn, and this hymn is so good. And if you get a chance, pull it up on YouTube. It's out there. Listen to it.
Yep.
But it's called "I Don't Know About Tomorrow."
Alrighty. So, I don't know about tomorrow. I just live from day to day. I don't borrow from its sunshine, for its skies may turn to gray. I don't worry over the future, for I know what Jesus said, and today I'll walk beside him, for he knows what is ahead. Many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand. Every step is getting brighter as the golden stairs I climb. Every burden's getting lighter, every cloud is silver lined. There the sun is always shining, there no tear will dim the eyes. At the ending of the rainbow, where the mountains touch the sky. I don't know about tomorrow, it may bring me poverty, but the one who feeds the sparrow is the one who stands by me. And the path that be my portion may be through the flame or flood, but his presence goes before me, and I'm covered with his blood.
Yep. And so, listen to that song. Yes. I don't know who holds tomorrow, because it's just like the song says, if God cares about the sparrows and seeing that the birds are fed, and he knows how many numbers of hair on our heads, that, we are so much more important to him.
Right.
And he loves us that much.
And, sparrows are one example. Like, what it's really saying is we're talking about the God who holds up all of creation, and you're important to him.
That's right. That's right. But we're going to go back to the University of Hope, and here's a poem of hope. There is always hope as you go through life. There are issues and challenges that will cause us all strife. We look, we ponder, and we wonder what will be. If you look up to God, you'll have eyes to see. He loves you and always wants the best for you. If you are willing to listen and learn and not be so blue. He gives guidance in his book, the Bible you hold. Take time to read it and his strength will unfold. God is always there for both you and me. He's watching and waiting for us to just be. To reach out to him and seek his plan and his will. For his plan for us is to live life fulfilled. There is always hope in this world you see, for God's love is abounding for both you and for me.
Who wrote that
And
one?
that was a gift from God today. Yes, I wrote that. Yeah. So that's why I say
Yeah.
God, God gives me things,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
try to pay attention and be obedient. So we are going to visit the University of Hope. You need to go visit the University of Hope if
Sure.
you've never been there. It's found in God and in his word. There's no college tuition other than the sacrifice of your time and building your relationship with Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
And you'll always be learning as you grow and mature in your relationship with him. So if you get discouraged, there's never a point where anybody has arrived.
No, we will never arrive.
That that doesn't
we will
happen.
always be learning. And I taught a class. We are always under construction. Till we see Jesus. We are always going to be living and learning. But that relationship with him, it's free. It's free to all. And so we need to take advantage of what's free to us. And he didn't say it would be easy, but he said it would be worth it.
Yes.
So there is always hope. There is always hope.
Find it, keep it, use it, believe it, and then share it.
That's right. And
you can share it while you're doing all those other things too.
Yes, you can.
If you're in a down point, you do first have to find it and hold on to it a little bit.
Right. But go to God first.
Yes.
Go to God first. Listen to Christian music. Listen to a pastor. Find a Bible-based church. But start that relationship with Jesus Christ. Look up. They say that, when it's its darkest, you can see the stars. And there is just sometimes that small glimmer of hope. And that's what you need. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's, God is waiting for you to come to him. And he is waiting to bless you and to be with you. So we hope that today that you have hope and you find hope, and that you will always see that there is hope no matter what your world and your life is going through. So may the God of hope be with you today and always.
Absolutely. And if anybody could count the number of times we said the word hope during the whole show, that'd be... Leave it in the comments if you have a number.
Yeah.
Almost as much as we say work over all our shows, really.
That's true, because everything takes work.
It certainly does.
Right. And with the God of hope, he helps us work.
Absolutely.
So he helps us get to where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
But, there isn't anything better than to have that personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
Correct.
So we hope you have a great week. We hope that you find your hope and your peace, and that God be with you and your family as you celebrate the weekend, and we'll see you next time.
We will see you next week, everybody.